Hello and welcome back to another one of my FPL videos. I am the FPL Train, and in this video I'm going to be doing a wildcard team ahead of game week 17. Now annoyingly I don't have that chip any longer. I used mine way back now in game week 8 and man, I'm starting to regret it a little, for being honest, because right now I really do need it, and I'm sure quite a few of you out there will need it right now, because what is going on right now? That past week was absolutely crazy, and I know normally it is when you've got a game week midweek. But what is going on with the goalkeepers? They're falling like flies right now. It's crazy. Obviously, Reece James went off injured yet again, so that's also going to be gut wrenching, because obviously he's such a great player, and obviously we don't want to see him injured. Erling Haaland's out injured. I mean, we don't know for how long. Could be back for 17. Maybe he's not. But if he isn't back for 17, they've got a blank in 18. Is it worth keeping him? Then you obviously got so many players had 4 yellow cards, decided to get the 5th yellow card on game week 16. What is that about? So many people are going to be out, suspended for game week 17. So you know what? Let's just have a look and see if we can get a decent team out if we activate the wildcard button. And I tell you now, I've done one here and I'm pretty satisfied with it. And man, it makes me wish I had this team. So anyways, let's go through this team. And as you can see, anyways, in the goal, the 2 goalkeepers I've gone for are Dubravka of Newcastle and Neto of Bournemouth. Now, Dubravka, he's somebody who I do own in my own team. Obviously, you got Nick Pope currently out for quite a long time now with a dislocated shoulder, which sucks for him. So I'm sure most of us did quite a few of us put in Dubravka in our teams. Last 2 weeks hasn't gone to plan. Obviously, Everton, they conceded, 3 goals? Conceded 4 goals to Spurs. Not exactly the start we all thought we were going to get when we brought in, obviously, Dubravka for our teams. And it just seems to continue, doesn't it? This curse going on right now with goalkeepers and clean sheets. It's just not working out at all right now. But hopefully, I do mean hopefully, they can pick it up. They just look tired at the minute, Newcastle. Hopefully, like game week 17, Fulham at home. I mean, I was going to say it's a nice fixture, but Fulham, they've just won 5-0 in the last 2 games now. So hopefully that stops. The last thing we want is another 5-0 there. That would be awful. Particularly, I mean, I'd hate it because I've actually got Dubravka in my team. So hopefully he can turn it around, because Newcastle are a good team. They're just riddled with so many injuries. It's really frustrating. So hopefully they pick up and go back to their best and get some clean sheets. And I've also got Neto as the backup goalkeeper, starting obviously for Bournemouth. Bournemouth, I mean, they're on a purple patch right now. They've got 2 clean sheets in the last 2 games. Is that going to continue? I mean, it could do, to be fair. I mean, I know I've got Dubravka as my starting goalkeeper for this team, but you could easily have Neto. They've got Luton at home, so it's going to be at home, not actually at Luton. Positive. And they've also got Forest in 18 and Fulham in 19. Obviously, I've just mentioned Fulham in the scoring run, but hey, who knows? By then, they could be obviously going downhill again. You never know. But fixture-wise, on paper, it does look good for Neto. And if you have a look further down, I mean, it's a long way down, but game week 27 to the game week 32, Bournemouth have a really good run of fixtures. So that's also something to think about on top of that. And obviously, you can also fit the Newcastle, Dubravka in these gaps as well, because he plays for a top-side team, and we're not expecting Nick Pope back anytime soon. It'll be interesting to see if he comes back by the end of the season. If anything, I think he'll be back for probably April time, but we'll have to see on that injury. But yeah, we're going to have Dubravka in our teams for quite some time, and I do think Neto is a really good shout. He's dirt cheap as well, Neto. He's literally just 4.5 million, so bargain for a starting goalkeeper. I could have gone for Jordan Pickford in this team, but honestly, I mean, I owned him at the start of the season. I just don't want to look at him right now, especially with how well Everton have been doing in the last few weeks. It's quite frustrating, really. But yeah, the 2 I'd go for is Dubravka and Neto. On with the defenders then. First of all, I've got De Zerbi of Chelsea. Now, when it comes to picking a Chelsea player, it is an absolute nightmare right now. Originally, when I was thinking about if I was to do a wildcard draft, I would have had Sanchez in. But obviously, he went off injured in the last game. So he's out my thought window if I was to do a team like this. And he was the only one that I said consistently starts for Chelsea. So if he's out, who are you going to go for? The problem with Chelsea's attackers, you don't know who's going to start apart from Palmer, really. And when it comes to the defensive options, it's pretty much the same, really. People were saying Colwell last week. Then he got dropped in this game week 16 alongside Thiago Silva, who may be another candidate. But He's 39. He's not looked that great this season. De Zerbi, to be fair to him, he has played most games for Chelsea this season, and obviously with that right-sided position, nobody's really there right now, if I'm right. So if Reece James is going to be out, Gusto, I'm pretty sure he's got an issue himself. I mean, he's currently flagged up anywhere on FPL. And De Zerbi plays on the right side for Chelsea, so he will probably be playing in the right wing-back role for now. I mean, don't quote me on that, I'm no Chelsea fan. But I do think either way he will start against Sheffield United, and I do think they'll get a clean sheet there. Not as confident, obviously, with the Wolves game, the Palace game, or even the Luton and Fulham. But on paper, it looks good for Chelsea. The only problem is this is not the Chelsea that we all remember. Alongside him there's Saliba of Arsenal, best defender I think in the league. Got a couple of tough fixtures coming up though, mind you. So he's got Brighton and then Liverpool. Now, I still start him if I had him in my team at game week 17 because it is at the Emirates. They're at home, and obviously they just lost to Aston Villa, so they want to really come back firing, and I think they will against Brighton. As good as Brighton are, I just think Arsenal will overcome them, and I think he'll do really well in that game week. And obviously, he's 100% starter for Arsenal. He's pretty much one of their leaders, so it's a no-brainer there. Pedro Porro. I've been watching this guy over the last few weeks. I had him in my team at one point. Got rid of him when they had some tough fixtures coming up. Now, the fixtures aren't exactly too easy, but they're pretty decent to be fair. So he's got Forest next game. Everton, Brighton, Bournemouth. They're not the worst games in the world. Obviously, Bournemouth and Everton are in form. Brighton's not the worst team in the world. But, obviously 17, it's away. But, nevertheless, his attacking style at the minute is crossing, he's creating chances. He's an unbelievable attacking right wing back. Is it right wing back? Yeah, it is right wing back, isn't it? I don't know why for a second I thought he played left wing back, but no. Right wing back. He's unbelievable. He creates so many chances for Spurs. It's a no-brainer, really. He's 5.3 million. He has gone up in price quite a bit from last time I saw him. I was owning him at 5 million, but he's now 5.3. And yeah, the next two fixtures I think he'll do really well. He's consistently starting for Spurs. So yeah, he's definitely somebody I'll recommend putting your team. Obviously, he did get that assist against Newcastle in game week 16, and he also got the assist in game week 15 against West Ham. So he's on a bit of a purple patch, you could say. I mean, he did obviously have a nightmare game against Man City, getting the yellow card and conceding all those goals. But even then, the game before that, Villa and Wolves, he got 5-5 there. So in the last 5 games, he's got you 20 points. That's pretty decent, fair. So he's definitely on a purple patch right now. And with Nottingham Forest, Everton, and like that, I think he'll do really well, particularly attacking-wise. Maybe not defensively, but attacking-wise, it'll be great. On the bench, you got Pau Torres. I felt like you had to have an Aston Villa defender in your team now, especially when they've just done 1-0 against City and 1-0 against Arsenal. That is pretty impressive. Obviously, a lot of it is on Matty Cash, but he looks like he's been dropped. The one guy who's definitely going to be starting in all these fixtures coming up is going to be Pau Torres. He's been brilliant this season at the back, replacing Tyrone Mings. He's 4.6 million. He's an absolute bargain of a defender. Is he going to get you a goal? No, he's not. Let's face it. I think he's got, one goal this season against Wolves. That is pretty much it, I reckon. So, yeah, he's not going to get you goals, but he's unbelievable. The back line for Wolves then. The back line for Aston Villa is really good right now. He's a bargain of a player. It's just no-brainer. If you don't fancy starting, put him on your bench, but you probably hate yourself because it'll get you a clean sheet. Obviously, Brentford away doesn't sound too easy, but you got to think Mbumo is out injured currently, so you could easily start him in your team for game week 17. And then the final defender on here is suspended for game week 17, and that is Kieran Trippier. Now, I was really frustrated because I do own Trippier, but he got that yellow card against Spurs, particularly because they're 3-0 down already or something like that at the time. Just give up. You've lost it. Don't get a silly yellow card. So he's going to miss the Fulham game, but the reason why I reckon you should keep him is because game week 18 he's going to be back for Luton. Then he's got Forest, and then he's got a couple of tough games with Liverpool, Man City, and Villa 3 in a row. Not the best start of the new year for Newcastle, but after that, they've still got a great run of fixtures coming up, and he's been brilliant yet again this season, Trippier. So Even though he is suspended for game week 17, I still think you should have him in your team. With the midfielders then, let's talk about Mohamed Salah first, because as you can see, I haven't put him in this team. And I have my reasons for that. So, Liverpool's fixtures, to be fair, coming up aren't exactly the best. So, game week 17 is Man United. Now, you could argue that's a really good fixture and they could possibly destroy Man United. And I do think they probably will. So, for that alone, yeah, if you want to put him in your team for that game week, that's fine. You could take out Phil Foden if you want, because there's 6.7 million in the bank in this team. Yes, that's right, 6.7 million in the bank. So I could easily just put Salah in this team straight away if I wanted to, but I haven't, because like I said, Man United in game week 17, which I do think he could do well in. It all depends which Man United team turn up. 18's Arsenal, that's going to be really tough. Now they're away to Burnley in game week 19, which he could do something there, to be fair to him. Then 20 have got Newcastle, that will be tough. And then obviously game week 21 is the end of January and he'll be off to the African Cup of Nations at that point. So he's only got 4 more fixtures left until he goes off. And 3 of those teams you could argue are supposed to be, well, they were in the top 6, 3 of those teams last season. And then you got Burnley. So is it worth having him in your team now? I don't think it really is. I mean, obviously, I could be miles right. He could get hat-tricks in all his games and just make me look like a complete tit. But that is the reason, anyway, I've decided not to have Mohamed Salah. Now, I do have Son, who's obviously also going to the African Cup of Nations. Just come off a stellar performance against Newcastle. Now, his next 4 fixtures are Forest, Everton, Brighton and Bournemouth. Now they're a lot better in my opinion than Salah's. Obviously Son is usually playing up front, should I say, for Spurs. I know he played on the left obviously yesterday's game for Spurs at times, but either way he is going to be scoring goals, I reckon, in these games before he goes off to the African Cup of Nations. It feels like a no-brainer, and he's a lot cheaper as well as. So yeah, I definitely would have Son in my team. Now, I've gone for something a bit different this time. I've gone for Phil Foden in this team. Now, you might think, why would I want Phil Foden when in game week 18 he's blanking? Now, he's only blanking for 1 game week, right? 1 game week. So, I could quite easily just put him on the bench for 1 game week. So far, as you can see on my bench, I've got Pau Torres of Aston Villa and Kieran Trippier of Newcastle. Any one of those players could come into game week 18 and replace him, and I'll be fine if I had this team anyway. So that's my reasoning with that. Phil Foden, if Erling Haaland's going to be out for, let's say, a while, Phil Foden, they're going to need goals. And I can see this guy getting a handful of goals. Crystal Palace is up next. Obviously, then they're blank. Then 19 is Everton. Now, game week 20, I mean, there's rumours that they could do a double game week in game week 20. But at the minute, it's just Sheffield United at home, but it could be also Brentford as well. So that would be nice. So they've got some nice fixtures coming up, Man City. And obviously, they're a great team, great on the eye. And Phil Foden's going under the radar right now. I mean, he is, to be fair to him, 11.5% owned right now. But I feel like just because Man City are blanking, people aren't going for him. When look, if you've got a great squad, you can afford to have these players on your bench for 1 game week. So that's why I've got Phil Foden in there. Kyle Palmer's in here then. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, Chelsea's fixtures, they look pretty decent, to be fair, on paper. Now, defensively, they're a bit of a shambles, really, Chelsea. Attacking-wise, they're not really the best either, if I'm being honest. But the shining light from Chelsea this season has been Cole Palmer. He's been brilliant this season. There is the issue of 1 more yellow card, and he will be suspended for a game. But I think we can put that to one side because he's dirt cheap. He's 5.3. I think it'd be 5.4 probably by the time I've done this video. You got Sheffield United at home next game. They've got to respond, obviously, after that last performance Chelsea gave against Everton. So, and I'm always confident Palmer's going to be starting most of the time. Even when Nkunku's back, I still think he'll probably be on penalties as well. But we'll have to see that later down the line. We've got Gordon as well. Now, I knew it was a tough game against Spurs Newcastle, but I didn't think they'd lose 4-1. So that's another defeat for Newcastle. They're in a bit of a bad form right now. Obviously, they've played a lot of games this season. Hopefully, Gordon does stay fit. Because, again, like Palmer, he's their shining light. He's dirt cheap. He's got some nice fixtures coming up the next 3 games. Sometimes he plays in the middle up front as well, because obviously Isak and Wilson can't be trusted. So hopefully he gets 90 minutes in these 3 games, because I think he's going to smash it as well in the next 3 games. And like Palmer, he's dirt cheap as well at 6.2 million, so bargain. Now I have got Saka on the bench, which is crazy really, because obviously it's Saka, but he's got Brighton at home. Now compared to the other 4 guys I've got in this midfield here, I think he's got the harder fixture of the lot. Now I know Arsenal just lost and they want to respond, as should Newcastle want to respond, but the fixtures they're much easier compared to what Arsenal got. Yes, Brighton can see goals, but I'd rather have these 4 ahead of Saka currently right now. And that then just leaves the strikers. Now, as you can see, I haven't put Erling Haaland in this team, so that's no Salah and no Haaland. Now, obviously, the reason being, I mentioned why Salah is not in the team. Erling Haaland, we still don't know the extent of this injury. Don't get me wrong, if he's fit for game week 17, I'd put him in. Now, obviously, with the 3 strikers I've got, I can't actually take out Alvarez and put him in and actually afford him. Same with Solanke, so I'd have to take Ollie Watkins out and put Erling Haaland in, if this was my team, of course, which clearly it's not. But yeah, obviously, if Haaland's fit, I'd have Haaland, but as things stand, why not go for the next best option in Alvarez? He absolutely smashed it at the start of the season for Man City. He's been a bit quiet since, but I think if Erling Haaland is out and he is the main man, I think he will do really well. I know he's blanking in game week 18, but so is Phil Foden, and that will be just 2 players. And this team, as you can see, is a one hell of a squad, and you think, oh, well, you will be fine to just put those on your bench for 1 game week. So yeah, without that obviously blank, and they might have a double in 20, they've got some good fixtures coming up, Man City. Ollie Watkins is in it. I mean, Aston Villa have shocked me how good they are. I mean, they were looking good, but I didn't realise they were that good. I mean, I don't think anybody did. To beat both Man City and Arsenal 1-0 in each game is absolutely phenomenal. And they battered Man City. I've took Ollie Watkins out of my own team, and I already want to bring him back in. Now, 17 is tough against Brentford away, but game week 18 is Sheffield United, 19's Man United, 20's Burnley, and 21's Everton. Those are great fixtures for Aston Villa, particularly with the way they're playing. I can't see Ollie Watkins not scoring these games. Maybe the Brentford one because it's a former team, but the other 3 teams, I think he'll smash it. So I felt like Ollie Watkins has to be in your team now. And the final player is Solanke, somebody I've still got in my actual team. And, you know, Bournemouth are on a real purple patch right now. Same with Solanke, to be fair to him. He's absolutely been smashing it every other week. Not every week, but every other week he has. So, game week 17 is Luton at home. It's a great fixture. Then it's Forest and Fulham. I think those are a great set of fixtures for Solanke. I think he can do really well because Bournemouth are playing amazingly right now. So, for sure, he's somebody to put in your team. You could argue maybe having Darwin Núñez in, but I think Solanke's more consistent than Darwin Núñez, and he plays more minutes. He's definitely going to be starting for Bournemouth, so I feel like a no-brainer. I mean, you could go with Isak, but again, his minutes are a bit of a risk, and Wilson coming back, he'll just get obviously subbed off early or rested here and there, where Solanke will for sure start. So those are the 3 strikers that I would have. So that overall will be my team. Well, if I could, this is what I think anyway, is the best team for game week 17 onwards. Obviously, no Salah and Haaland. If Salah had better fixtures, he would be in there, but he's not. And if Haaland is fit, he'd be in this team. So, let me know what you think of this wildcard team. Let me know what you're planning on doing, particularly with these injuries, obviously suspensions we've got coming up. Let me know what you're thinking. Don't forget to like this video as well, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all on the next video.